Hello there, John Coturillo here, the counsellor of your listener. Thank you for joining me for this episode. As usual, thank you to everybody who makes this work possible. Also, as usual, if you have concerns about yourself or someone else, never take what you find on the internet or in the media as advice. Please speak to a professional or somebody else that you trust. If you are in Australia and are seeking counselling from me, my contact details can be found in the description of this episode. Today I'd like to reflect on the phenomenon we may experience in which we feel inclined to agree with people to maintain social cohesion. Now, diplomacy is a virtue, and simply speaking our minds abrasively at every given moment is probably not a healthy coping mechanism. There are times when being more diplomatic justifiably does help to maintain our relations with other people, and at the same time it can avoid offending people when it would be massively inappropriate to do so. So, it's not to say that we should be indiscriminate in how we exercise our expression, but I've encountered numerous incidences in my life in which I've witnessed people simply agreeing with what others have to say simply because they don't want to argue with them, or simply because they're too uncomfortable disagreeing. Now, I can understand that not everybody's comfortable disagreeing. Sometimes it may be socially harmful for them to disagree. I'm not stigmatizing that, but there's a difference between situations in which diplomacy helps avoid unnecessary conflict, and diplomacy results in people not hearing what they need to hear. This is particularly relevant in situations in which a person has dominance that is unjustified or that is misused. Or in other situations where we simply don't consider that agreeing for the sake of harmony can actually place a barrier between people rather than helping to strengthen their bond. Within reason, if two people truly respect one another, they should be free to express disagreement in a civilized fashion. And if a person has the right intentions, they should be willing to listen to other people's disagreement because they realise that they're not infallible and they can make mistakes. But all too often what I suspect happens and what I've seen happen is somebody has learned over many years of not having people disagree with them that they simply are always right. That they can always expect that when they express an opinion, regardless of what it is, people will always agree with them. And then when somebody does disagree with them, they react aversively because they've become so accustomed to agreement that anything that deviates from that is interpreted in their mind as a threat. And then effectively we're teaching people not to be self-reflective and not to consider their own opinions because nobody is ever challenging them. All of us need to be challenged at some point in our life, some more than others. It's important that we don't consider ourselves infallible and that we allow people to disagree with us, because that's the only way we're ever going to learn. And at the same time, if you want the best for your relationship with somebody else, don't misuse that dominance. Allow them to disagree with you and listen to it in earnest and listen to the details and take it seriously, because none of us can be right all the time. It's part of being human. As a counsellor, I receive referrals from others, and I also like to help my audience become aware of resources and other providers which may be beneficial, as well as help other individuals and organisations gain exposure. That's why I host the Your Listener Partner Network, and I'd like to thank my partners for their support. I'd like to introduce Claire of Finding Solutions Counselling. Claire is a retired registered nurse and midwife holding a diploma in counselling and registered with the Australian Counselling Association. Married with 4 children and 3 grandchildren, she is constantly amazed at the ways that her clients manage to cope in difficult, daunting circumstances. Drawn to helping people all her life, she thoroughly enjoys using solution-focused brief therapy. This evidence-based modality aids in identifying clients' best hopes. Working in a co-constructive manner, she and her clients describe individual strengths, abilities, skills and traits, explore past positive experiences, or describe the client's hopes for the future to achieve their desired outcome. She presently specialises in helping women with grief and loss issues. Find Claire at www.findingsolutionscounselling.com.au. So thank you for listening to this reflection. If you have concerns about yourself or somebody else, please do not ever take what you find in the media or on the internet as advice. Always seek advice from a professional or somebody else that you trust. If you are in Australia and are seeking counselling from me, you can find my details in the description of this episode. And if you have feedback on the program, if you'd like to be a guest, if you'd like to suggest a topic to discuss or otherwise, please contact me. I love to hear from my audience. And until next time, take care.